Welcome to Prospera Ventures YouTube channel and part of a mini series of ours.
We'd just like to tell you a little bit about ourselves, how we got to where we are and what we're doing with Prospera Ventures, and a little bit about what you can expect from us, the channel, and our company. I am Spencer Oberg. This is my lovely business partner and wife, Bianca Penuelos. Babe, why don't you tell these fine people a little bit about how you got here in terms of doing this podcast and rocking that awesome Prospera Ventures shirt.
Yes, thank you. I would love to introduce us, and it's kind of a funny story how we got here, I think. It's a long one, but to really sum it up, I think Spencer and I have just been part of the startup world, right? I think we were entrepreneurs at heart, figured out how to manage and work in a way that worked for us, which was diving in, figuring it out head first, no matter how many times we had to smack our head against the wall. We would figure it out and we would find really cool people along the way. And I think the biggest thing about how we got here is from learning from those startup experiences to starting this business as hopefully one of the later and last startups that we get to do is finding a way through that journey and saying, you know what, startups are really great and they're a lot of work, but how do we do this in a more productive way? How can we take all the knowledge that we've learned in this entrepreneurial journey through businesses and actually take a step forward and say, okay, now that we've learned all of this stuff, how can we do it from a non-startup perspective? How can we work with business owners who have a very successful business over 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, sometimes 100 years, and take it to the next level? And growth is really what keeps these businesses alive. What do you think? Was that a good summary for everybody?
I think that's a great summary, and I think we should maybe dive in a little bit deeper on some details and
Yes.
give these people some personal stuff.
Mm.
So I have always been an entrepreneur in some form or fashion. When I was younger, didn't know it at the time, but I started being an quote unquote unofficial or less than legal entrepreneur at a pretty young age, following the wrong crowd. Um, that led me down a very interesting path. But just over the years, in one form or another, I've always had some sort of entrepreneurial venture. If you want to know a little
Mm.
bit more detail about my story, we'll link, in the
Below.
descriptions, the below bios, all that stuff. You can find more about me on other videos. That is not the subject of this one. After the last one, that we should really think about buying businesses instead of going and doing yet another startup.
Pause. I did not realize at this time that buying a business was a thing. It makes sense. You can think about it. It makes sense. Just like you can buy real estate and all kinds of products and furnitures. But I did not know this was a thing, even though I went to business school. You could buy a business.
Push play again. I agree with that 100%. I didn't really realize it was a thing. And I think more poignantly, I didn't realize it could be a thing for us. I didn't realize it was available to us. I knew businesses got acquired when we started businesses. That was really the end goal. It was the whole idea. We're going to build this business and we're going to create these products, build this business and turn it into something that Nestle wants to buy or Kraft, because we were in the food and beverage industry, or some other large company would want to acquire, and therefore we get a payday at the end. So I knew conceptually that it was kind of a thing, but I had no idea it was something that was available to me and to us as the little guy. In terms of the actual startup journey, I think the most important one to hit on, I think, is Good Planet Foods. That was the last one. That was the one that kind of brought us together on our startup journey, our collective startup journey. And that I dove into completely not knowing what I was getting myself into. And I think that's both a superpower and an Achilles heel for an entrepreneur. You're too ignorant to know that you really shouldn't be doing what you're doing and that you technically shouldn't be able to achieve it. So you just dive in and figure it out, as Bianca was mentioning. And we started that company with one of my mentors, um, and and partners, and, and grew it from pretty much nothing to a very sizable business, over 20 million in revenue in like 3 or 4 years. And we did that by not sleeping
Having a startup, really, right?
and
Working
working 24
24/7.
7
Good
and
times.
and literally figuring out how to make a food product, how to get that product packaged, how to build a distribution network, how to set up internal systems and processes so that we can keep track of our inventory and our invoices and just all of that crazy stuff. And it was an exhilarating time, but it was also a very taxing time. So by the time we got to the end of our day-to-day life in that company, thankfully we had figured quite a few things out, built a fantastic team who could do our jobs better than we could. So we were able to transition ourselves out of the day to day. I was a little burnt out, quite frankly, and I wasn't sure I wanted to do that again. Is that it took a little bit of my soul in order, well, it took a good chunk of my soul in order to get that done. I put a lot of me, and I know you put a lot of you into building that company. And so I kind of thought that there had to be a different way. And when it was presented to us that we could actually take all of the skills that we had learned in that startup journey and the others that we've done, there were also 3 or 4 other companies along the way that we've started, and some of them are doing very well. Some of them are still in early startup phase. But all the lessons that we've learned along the way, and we can apply those to helping an existing company that already has cash flow and somewhat of a team and infrastructure. We can help that company build on the foundation and turn into something even better, which is very appealing.
I think we're going to get a lot of questions around our time at Good Planet Foods. And I think this series is going to be a good one to address some of them throughout our journey because, like you said, you and I are partners in life and partners in business. And that's one of the major things people question up front, right? Like, how do you do both? How do you split your time? How do you manage a work-life balance? Like, there's going to be a lot of things that I think pop up as we go through the series. We're not going to hit all of them in this episode because then we'd be here forever. But I am curious to take us down the path of where we're at now with Prospera Ventures. How would we define our mission, right? What's our mission now in terms of having and going out and buying businesses?
I really like to boil it down to freedom personally,
Hmm.
because that's something that means a lot to me for a very good reason. And I like to think that we are helping to create freedom,
Hmm.
or at least the pathway to freedom, and by empowering everyone within the sphere of influence of the businesses that we're purchasing
Yeah.
to be successful.
Yeah.
Right? So if we have investors who are coming in with us, helping to we're helping to continue to build their ability to have freedom by increasing the value of their money. If all of the team that we have involved, we come in to increase the value of their time so they feel like they have at least a little bit more freedom to be who they are at work. And at the same time, we come in to increase the value of the company and make sure that everybody is winning together with us, which in turn helps empower them more from a financial perspective, to find a little bit more financial freedom. So for me, it really boils down to freedom. And I know that that is not the official mission
Tagline.
or tagline, but it's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. So I went off script a little bit, but maybe we'll put that in the
No,
bloopers.
we don't need a script for this. This is real talk. Prospera, and I think that's part of like our values, right? Our values are to be transparent. Like we don't have anything to hide. everyone has a past. We have a past of ourselves, of our work, of families and partners and everything. Like there's a past, and there's nothing to really hide from except for own what we've done and what we've been a part of, and hopefully learn and grow. And so I think, in on top of what you said about freedom, I think that's a great one word piece of it. I think also empowerment, because we come from a background where I think it's always the little guy, right? We root for the little guy. And I think the only way that the little guys can win, and gals, we don't discriminate here. Guys, gals, everyone, they like,
All inclusive.
we, it is all inclusive. We think people can do bigger and better things. And I think that we tend as human beings to limit ourselves. And I think I learned this a lot from you, right? Like, oh, they said no, or oh, we can't right now. And there's a limiting belief to our human side, or psyche, whatever you want to call it. Maybe we'll bring a psychologist on at some point, but we have limiting beliefs. And so kind of pushing those boundaries of like, why not, right? That's one of your biggest things, is why not? Because we limit ourselves, or we're scared that if we succeed, something really good can happen, and what do you do at that point? And did you lose yourself in the process? And so I think it's really important, as who we are as a company, what we're trying to build. It's having transparency, it's being open to new things, having the freedom to choose, being able to say, no, I can do this, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. And so I think, as we're going through these episodes and journey of our own with Prospera and businesses that we buy, like, we hold that true. And I think the teams that we are going to build, we hope that they hold those same values of transparency and empowerment and freedom to be something more than maybe they thought they were capable of.
And ideally, help we help you as a business owner prepare for that successful exit, and then that exit is to us, or if it's not the right fit for exactly what we're focusing on at that point in time in our acquisition journey, then to one of those folks that we know and trust in our network, so that there's a safe pair of hands to hand over the
Mm.
business that you've worked so hard to create to.
Yes. And I think that's like one of the biggest questions people get, right? What differentiates you from this buyer versus that buyer, or from someone who's consulting? And I think the biggest differentiator is, one, we've kind of lived through a lot of things in business itself, but also we're willing to acquire, right? Not everybody as a consultant is going to say, yeah, now I'd love to buy your business after working with you for 6 months. That's not something a lot of people say. Whereas we want to build that relationship. We want to see what you're working with. We want to really make sure it's worthwhile for everyone. And if it's not, be upfront and say, hey, I don't think this one's the right fit. But because we've grown, we've know people, and we've developed these relationships, we still think we can help you and connect you with someone. So that, I would like to point that out, because that is a question that people ask, and it's one that, again, not everyone, I feel like, has owned or wants to even do, right? Buying a business is a very specific thing. You have to have very specific knowledge, whether there's the legal side, the financial side, the owner side, from a retirement aspect, and your own personal taxes and investments that you have to go through. So,
And I think the actual experience part of it,
mm,
we are startup entrepreneurs. Whether we started the business ourselves or we're part of a team that, of the founders, we were part of that very, very early team. We know what it's like to build something from nothing, and so we get it. We know what you've been through. We understand that it's your baby, and we have the perspective of the person who's looking to ultimately sell their business.
yeah,
Whereas I think that is a differentiator. I don't think everyone, I don't want to talk about brokers per se in this podcast, but I don't think everybody who's working as an advisor in the space can say that
mm,
and brings that to the table. So not only are we willing to buy, and if it isn't the right one for us, we can help find somebody, but we're doing it from the perspective of somebody who's walked in your shoes.
not everybody has cried on a Tuesday because a supplier didn't answer the phone or whatever.
That's
Um,
probably Brian. And I
Um,
think one of the things that took me a while to learn is that it really is all about the team. The
yeah.
success of the company is really, it is the team. And I can't do everything myself. Ultimately, like you get to a certain size and you really, it's physically impossible.
Mm.
I tested those limits, right? I mean, I remember many, many nights up on my computer trying to do everything from invoicing to issuing POs to inventory. And I know you thankfully took that over and did the same thing. So we tested the limits in terms of what you can actually physically do.
Yeah.
You can only get so big doing everything yourself. But then beyond that, should you do everything yourself? It took me a while to learn that I am not the best at everything. And if I am the best at something, then I don't have the right people in the room. My job as the leader in a company is to bring the best people to the table who enjoy working together, who have that, like that familial culture that
Yeah.
Bianca was talking about, and at the same time are just absolutely amazing at what they do, so that my job, our job
Yeah.
as leaders, is to make sure that they have the tools that they need in order to succeed, that they feel supported and empowered, and that if anything gets in their way, I break that barrier down or find a way around it for them, or in some way make sure that that roadblock's taken care of. And that ultimately is that's my part in the play.
Yeah.
I think somebody that we talked to recently
Great
gave us that
analogy.
analogy, right? That this is the company. A company's really a play, and everybody has their part. And so, building a team where all of their skills and abilities work together, like people playing different parts in a play,
Producer, costume designer, yeah, like every little part.
it's totally vital, 1,000,000% vital. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely the most rewarding part of Good Planet. I think a lot of people don't realize that it's an option for them to sell their business to someone,
Yeah.
right? Especially in America, but really around the world, but especially in America, our economy is really built on small to medium-sized businesses, right?
Yes.
It's built on family businesses. It's built on the guy or gal who's running a crew of just a few people and has a very successful electrical business.
Yeah.
But that business can't run without them. Ultimately, how much of a business is it versus a job? And can we take that amazing foundation that they've built? They have great customers, they have good revenue, good cash flow. Can we take that and build the team that we were talking about earlier
Yeah.
up a little bit so that everyone has a little bit more freedom and the business itself can operate as its own entity, as its own organism, and then be transferred to somebody else
Yeah.
or even be transferred to the employees at some point,
I was
which
gonna
is an
say,
option too.
and
There's all kinds of ways to take a company that somebody has built, make it self-sustaining, to be able to continue the legacy on and not let it die, because it doesn't do any service to anybody. It's a negative impact to the person who built it, their employees, like you said, their customers, their vendors, their family, the community, and our economy as a whole.
yeah.
I'm obviously a little passionate about that. So I will take a breath for a second.
To learn from our entrepreneurial experience, to not just figure it out, but figure it out with purpose, figure it out with strategy. And I think that's the biggest thing. When you become an owner and you build a company, sometimes you can tend to lose that purpose. You can lose what you're trying to ultimately do and find. And hopefully, in having conversations with us, we can help navigate some of that purpose and that drive. And man, I really would love to be out of the office at least once a week because it's driving me nuts. And let's find that drive again, because it's your life, and we think that there's a way to do it. You have the capabilities. You might just be missing some of those tools.
100%. Why not? Why can't you
Why
have? Why
why
can't you
not?
have everything? Why
Why
not?
not?
And I don't mean
Best of
that.
both worlds.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean that in a greedy way. Like, oh, I want a helicopter and a plane, but I'm not even talking about from a materialistic standpoint. It's like, why can't we have a good balance in life? Why can't we enjoy what we do at work and yet also be able to have time for family and to be able to spend time with kids and
Yes.
and uh, aging family members, grandparents, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there really is a way to utilize business ultimately as the foundation to create an amazing holistic life. The owner has sacrificed and put a lot of their time,
Blood, sweat, tears.
I mean, literally, a lot of times, literally blood, sweat,
Yeah.
and tears
Yeah.
into building the company. So it's important to emphasize
Yeah.
that our approach, and I mean, of course, I'm biased, but I think the right approach does prioritize getting the owner the best financial result possible.
Yeah.
But we also believe that it is the right way to do things, to look at it holistically, so that not only does the owner, ultimately the person who's going to be selling the business, not only do they win and get the most money that they can for everything that they've put into the business, but that everybody else impacted by it is also impacted positively.
Yeah.
I really believe that win, win, win is a thing, and that it is not only possible, but it's the way that we should live and do business. But I do want to emphasize that that is not at the expense of getting the owner the most money they can get. So, what really are the services that we're offering people, and how does
Mm.
it benefit?
Yes. Really, we're trying to help good current businesses become great businesses, right? And what tools and resources are you going to need to do that, to become a great company and really find that exit strategy? So I would say consultation as one. And the other one would be acquisition itself, right? So let's say you maybe already have an advisor, or you just think you're ready to exit and you're like, hey, I'm ready to exit. Why don't you guys buy my company? Great, let's have that conversation. Is it a company? Like, let's go through the steps and value your company. Let's actually do a valuation of your company as it is.
And honestly, if you just want to sell your business and it's doesn't,
Hmm.
even if it can continue to be optimized, which nothing's perfect, there's always opportunity for growth, in my opinion. But even if there are suggestions that we have that could
Hmm.
optimize your business and create a greater exit value for you, but you don't have the bandwidth in you, and we can give you enough as the business is. Ultimately, I think we can distill it down to, we help good businesses become great businesses,
Yep.
prepare for a successful exit, and
Actually
acquire
acquire.
those companies at whatever stage they are when the seller is ready to hand over the keys. So, what can folks take away from our little introductory episode of our series here?
Every week, we're going to have a new episode. We're going to be talking exit strategy, experience. I mean, you name it, exit related, we are talking about in this series. So yes, subscribe, get the notifications, whatever you need. We'll always post links below. We'll talk about different resources throughout the series, and we'll always give that to our followers. So definitely follow us. You can always check us out at our website, www.weprospera.com, link below, of course. We've got a blog, we've got a newsletter. I mean, sign up if you're really trying to understand exit planning and what it could potentially look like working with us.
Follow us on all of the usual social channels. I'm sure you can find us on
Facebook,
Insta.
Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course, YouTube. We've got plenty of shorts that go on YouTube. Any kind of tips, we are giving them out for free. So,
And the obligatory disclaimer: we are not attorneys, financial advisors, or in any way licensed to be telling you what to do with your life or your money. We are owners, operators, and entrepreneurs who have been there, done that. We're offering you our experience and our opinions. We hope that they help, but ultimately, we hope, well, let me back that up a little bit. We definitely hope that they help. We hope there's a little entertainment in there too. But please, if you have if you're ultimately going to make a life altering decision, talk to your attorney and CPA.
Thanks for joining us on episode 1, and hopefully we see you again.